Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander's Core Studio. Welcome to the show. So, some players out there decide that, well, that kind of a commander, no, that can't be for me because of this one thing. And I'm telling you that these commanders are 100% worth building around. Let's jump into it. And that one thing is an absurdly high mana value compared to other commanders, but I'm here to tell you that these commanders are well worth it. Villainous Broker of Blood is a commander that can be so incredibly impactful, so incredibly powerful. And yeah, it's got a high mana value, but you can get so much value out of it the second it hits the table. And of course, you've got plenty of ways to get it out quickly as well. An 8/8 legendary creature demon for 8 mana in black flying. Pay a black mana, pay 2 life. Target creature gets -1/-1 till end of turn. But of course, the big thing about this commander is whenever you lose life, draw that many cards. That is a massive impact. That is a massive thing for you. That is huge. And that is something that you can very easily utilize with this commander with a deck dedicated to it. Because, well, there are certain cards out there, some of my favorite cards in Magic actually, that are, I like to call them like life setting cards, deterministic cards when it comes to like, oh yeah, you know what? I just feel like losing another life. Oh, okay, cool, yeah, life dropping cards in a way. A 1/1, it's not a ghost anymore. I think it's been added to a spirit for 3 mana in black flying. Pay 1 life, regenerate. Mischievous Poltergeist is such a cool card. It protects itself freely, basically, at the cost of life. But again, we're in Commander. We got 40 life, plenty to utilize. And of course, when our commander is in play, the second it hits the table, we can just go, yeah, I basically just have, Necropotence on the table, essentially. That's basically what I have. I'm just like, okay, cool, yeah, lose some life, draw some cards, sure, whatever I want, doesn't matter, whenever I literally want to do so. You're kind of building your own Grizzlebrand in a way. And of course, with this commander as well, yeah, once you, dig down into your deck and draw an absurd amount of cards, you can set yourself up really well. And yeah, even if you just have, say, 1 mana. Let's say you, wait to get to 9 mana to actually cast your commander, okay? You can wait that extra mana. You draw a ton of cards, and then you end up hitting something like, a Soul Ring or, a Dark Ritual. Instant for a single black mana, add black to your mana pool. Yeah, again, you just go Ritual, you start casting a couple things, and then all of a sudden you're like, you know what? Let's put out a Grey Merchant of Asphodel, okay? 2/4 zombie for 5 mana in black. Enters the battlefield. Each opponent loses X life for extra devotion to black. You gain life, your life lost this way. Basically a way to say, you know what, let's get the life total back up to a reasonable number. A number that I can be proud of, while also draining my opponents and drawing an absurd amount of cards. Until I hit something like, a Psychosis Crawler to drain my opponents further. Or something that's like a life swap card where you go down to 1 where I was at and I go back up to 40 or wherever you were at. There are so many possibilities for Villainous. Again, do you just want, Grizzlebrand in the command zone? Sure, there you go. This is a version of Grizzlebrand in the command zone. Yeah, you kind of gotta build your own Grizzlebrand, but there's a reason why Grizzlebrand is banned and they didn't unban it. So yeah, this is a crazy cool, crazy powerful commander that you should be building around right now. And if you are interested in this commander or any of the others in this episode or any of the cards in this episode, check out that card list link in the description below. Next up, we've got Tashana, Voice of Thunder, a Star Merfolk Shaman for 7 mana in Simic. Again, high mana value. Players out there are just scared of high mana values. Like, oh, okay, 1, it's adorable and sometimes powerful. 2, it's yeah, that's really good and really powerful when you get a good commander there. 3, it's yeah, okay, this is I'd say 3, 4, that's kind of the meat of the commanders when it comes to okay, cool, this is really super powerful commanders that are probably pushed for their mana value. 5, it's okay, that's an acceptable amount. 6, that's a lot. I don't know if I'm going to build around 6. And 7's definitely not. 7 and 8 are no. That's way too much for me. But here you go, Tashana. Again, immediate value with this. Power and toughness are each equal to the number of cards in your hand. You've got no maximum hand size. And on top of that, whenever it enters the battlefield, you draw a card for each creature you control. That is a massive amount of value. This is a commander that goes wide and goes tall at the exact same time. Again, you get a good amount of creatures out, and we'll talk about certain creatures that really benefit from this commander. And all of a sudden, you're like, okay, cool, yeah, I cast this, I play it, and I just drew an absurd amount of cards. While also now probably having the biggest creature on the table and no maximum hand size, so I can hold on to those cards. And of course, because that is an ETB trigger, and not a cast trigger, it does not have a cast trigger requirement, yeah, you can very easily utilize this again and again and again with cards like, oh, I don't know, Essence Flux. Again, you're in blue. You got plenty of ways to blink this. Exile creature control, bring it back to battlefield, Arnzo's control. Basically, blink for a single mana. You can ignore the whole spirit thing. That usually doesn't matter at all. But yeah, just for 1 mana to be able to go, okay, how many creatures do I have in play? 7? Okay, yeah, blink my commander, draw 7 more. Also, again, I get to hold on to all those cards, even if I'm over 7 cards in my hand, of course, and my power and toughness of my commander just went up even further. Body of Knowledge, a great card out there that can take advantage of you drawing a ton of cards as well. Star, power and toughness equal to the number of cards in your hand. Again, so basically just going to be as big as, well, your hand, which is going to keep growing throughout the game. Also, max fan size, so it's a nice little backup to your commander, too. And whenever it's dealt damage, you draw that many cards. So draw even more cards. Your opponents are going to be in trouble trying to block this. And, of course, you probably have ways to get through. Speaking of getting through, though, Sturmgeist. Star, Flying Spirit for 5 mana. Power and toughness each equal number of cards in your hand. Again, deals combination to player, draw a card. Yeah, being able to draw cards in addition with this as well. Again, with some of the biggest creatures on the board, they keep growing. Tashana, again, you can go in a lot of different directions with this commander. One, though, that was very effective when I played against it. Oh, my goodness. Thank you, Baron. Yeah, that was just, hey, you know what? What would happen if I just put a bunch of star creatures in the same deck that just keep growing throughout the game for, you know, number of creatures in play, you know, hand size, number of lands in play, etc., and then just keep blinking my commander? Yeah, it can be quite powerful. Going to hit really hard. Build around this one. All right, let's step things up now because we've got Miracle Lord of Bones, or Miracle, I don't know how to say that name, but what I do know how to say is that this is an incredibly powerful commander that you should be considering, and you should not be worrying about that it has such a high mana value, because the amount of value you can get right away again, right when you play it, is just insurmountable, and your opponents are going to get taken out. Did anyone else kind of not realize, like, the actual orientation of the art in this card really quick, just off to the side? There's, like, a hand in the top left. I didn't realize that, of someone, like, digging, like, huh, I just dug this up. For some reason, I thought this guy was, like, coming through a wall in, like, a portal. Anyways, yeah, 7/5 God for 7 mana in Abzan. As long as your life total is less than or equal to half your starting life total, it has Indestructible. So, some built-in protection there if you are at half your life or less. And of course, again, like Mischievous Poltergeist, you could utilize something like that to, like, manipulate your life total. There you go, if you need to. That being said, whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you may exile it. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that card, except it's an enchantment, it loses all their card types. Here's the thing. Some players might think, okay, well, that's nice that I get the creature back, but, like, it's no longer a creature. Like, that's kind of a downside, right? You can't use it in combat. I'm here to tell you that it is very much an upside, and literally, if I could have, like, a lot of creatures just be, like, enchantment versions of themselves, yeah, I'd be ecstatic, because enchantments, in my opinion, are probably the hardest permanent type to deal with. Typically, just in general in Commander, they stick around the longest compared to many other things. Creatures, yeah, there's a million Wraths out there, and there's going to be a lot of Wraths in Commander, like Wrath of God, that are utilized that take out creatures. When it comes to enchantments, it's like, yeah, there are Wraths, obviously, but, like, dedicated removal to creatures typically is going to be higher than dedicated removal to enchantments, so yeah, they're going to stick around more often. And of course, there are ways to really utilize them that you can't utilize in other ways, like, oh, I don't know, let's say Devoted Druid. A 0/2 Elf Druid for 2 mana in green, tap for a green, put a -1/-1 counter on it, untap it. Yeah, as a creature, there is a limit to this. Again, you can go like, okay, I put a -1/-1 counter on it, unless I've got a way to get rid of that counter, or a way to gain even more toughness. Yeah, I can't really do that another time where I take my own creature out. But that's actually a good thing with this commander, where you take this out and all of a sudden it comes back as an enchantment, and it can tap for a green, and you can keep putting -1/-1 counters on it because it's an enchantment. And what does a -1/-1 counter do on an enchantment? Absolutely nothing. There's a downside when this is a creature, an upside when it's an enchantment. Congratulations, you've got infinite green mana. There's also other ones that do, like, you know, prevention, and also I think like discard too. So those are pretty disgusting. But yeah, those are ways to take advantage of this commander in a big way. Viserys here, a crazy good creature. A 1/1, sacrifice a creature, scry 1 vampire wizard for a single black mana. Yeah, again, like, as a creature, it is vulnerable. Still a very, very good card. But as an enchantment, it's like, oh yeah, if there was just a 1 mana enchantment that was like, hey, free sacrifice outlet, scry 1, yeah, that would cost a lot more than 1 mana and a lot more than 30 cents out there. But yeah, this on a creature, turning into enchantment, that's huge for this commander. And now you can freely sacrifice any of your creatures to turn them into enchantments. And also take advantage of something like Eidolon Blossoms. Whenever it or another enchantment enters the battlefield on your control, draw a card. Again, this specific type of enchantress is incredible with this commander. Where you're like, okay, instead of it being like, okay, I cast an enchantment, like I think Mesa Enchantress, like those kinds essentially. Like, okay, I cast an enchantment, I draw a card. These are ETB enchantments, draw cards. All of a sudden, you're like, okay, I sacrifice a creature, it comes back as an enchantment, I draw a card. Every single time I do that, so much value to be had. Again, this commander takes creatures and takes them to their fullest potential as enchantments, and you can do some really crazy, powerful things. And again, right away when this comes into play, you're going to be getting absurd amounts of value. Make sure you build around this one. Moving on, we've got Pirly Volatile, a 7/7 Elder Dragon with flying and lifelink for 8 mana in total. A lot of different pips in there, obviously. 2 red, red, white, white, black, black. Yeah, that can just scare players off right there. They're like, ooh, specific mana cost. Oh, no. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice unless you pay 3 mana, one of each of those colors. And when it dies, it deals 7 damage each non-legendary creature. Now, I can understand, again, the apprehension for building around this. Again, when it comes to the OG Elder Dragons of Elder Dragon Highlander Commander. Basically, again, they all kind of had the same downside, right? They're all like, okay, we cost specific mana things, and also, hey, on our upkeep, you gotta pay or we go away. And that's just kind of how the game was, right? You build around one of those, you get the colors, and like, yeah, you can win with the commander damage, cool. This one, though, actually, again, the downside of having to pay or you sacrifice it becomes an upside, a massive upside, actually. Because essentially, when this does die, you're going to be probably taking out all your opponent's things, all their creatures. Again, maybe not their commander, sure, but like most players aren't just building around legends. So you do that, and on top of that, again, because this does have lifelink just inherently, you're going to be gaining an absurd amount of life. Literally 7 life per each creature on the board that is not legendary. Yeah, just look over, like your player over there is playing tokens. They're like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, how many little soldiers you got over there? I got 14 soldiers. Oh, okay, that's fun math, here we go. Yeah, a lot of life, plus all the other life as well that you're gonna have on the table. You're gonna be gaining like probably 200 life or so with this once it explodes. So you get it into play, and sure, you can wait until your upkeep for that to happen. Of course, there's other ways to do so. But yeah, even if you're not sure, let's say you're not sure you're going to be taking out all non-legendary creatures, you can even include something like, say, Basilisk Collar. There you go. Death Touch, lifelink. Obviously, the lifelink doesn't do anything with this commander, though it might help with other creatures that you have. If you've got other life gain synergies, which you probably will, because, well, it's quite nice to be able to, gain an absurd amount of life and take advantage of that. But yeah, the Death Touch makes it so that every single one of your opponent's creatures that gets hit by your commander that is not, say, indestructible is now going to be taken out, which is absolutely lovely. Speaking of taken out, well, hey, you know what? It's not going to take out mine. Even if we can build, like, legendary creatures. We can build a lot of legendary creatures. We can build ones that, survive our commander. But also we can build ones that aren't legendary that survive our commander, like Brash Taunter. A 1/1 goblin indestructible, again, survives our commander for 5 mana in red. Whenever it's dealt damage, deals that much damage to target opponent, and we can have it fight target creature. So essentially with this, we just have this in play, and we're like, okay, cool, yeah, awesome. Hey, Pyro, go ahead and explode. Do whatever you want to do. That's 7 damage to an opponent's face. Lovely. On top of that, of course, yeah, we can include like some legendaries. Yahenni is one that can protect itself already, which is nice. Doesn't have to protect itself from our commander because it won't be dealing damage to it. Whenever a creature opponent controls dies, you get a counter on it. Sacrifice another creature, gains indestructible until end of turn. And it's hasty as well. This is one that can just be like it can be a one-shot KO on an opponent. Really, it can be. Because you just play this, you're like, okay, cool. My commander, I sacrifice it with this. Now Yahenni is indestructible. And by the way, Hero says, explode, 7 damage to all the things, take all of my opponent's creatures, get a ton of counters on this, and swing through. Quite a fun time. Also, when it comes to our commander too, take advantage of Feigned Death type effects. Instead of being like, well, I don't like that high mana value, because then like, sure, I get like the 1 board wipe, but then I have to recast it at 10 mana. Here's the thing. Cheat on the mana value. By doing so and saying like, you know what, when you die, you're just coming right back. Feigned Death, there's a ton of other type of effects like this for 1 mana. Until end of turn, target creature gains. When it dies, bring it back. Then in this case, tap target opponent's control, they counter on it. Again, there's a lot of different variations of that. Doesn't really matter which one you're using, but yeah, it's great. Sanguine Bond, also another way to take advantage of this commander too. Again, whenever you're gaining life, you drain an opponent. Target opponent loses that much life. This is like a one-shot KO on literally anyone, because you're like, okay, how many creatures are in play? As long as there's like, I don't know, like 6 or 7 in play that this Pirly hits, you're like, okay, cool, I just gained like 42 life or something. Awesome, you're gone. Goodbye. So yeah, this is a commander that, again, players, when they see like, oh, scary mana value, oh, it has to be sacrificed, oh, downside, oh, there's so much upside to this, though. Take advantage of it, build around it. All right, buckle up for this next one. One of my favorite commanders of all time, and actually, if you want to see really poor Mitch recording, very first, I tried my best, okay? This was years ago. It was my first try. Actually, it was like my third try. I think I recorded the episode like 3 times because the first 2 times I was so nervous that I couldn't do it very well. Anyways, my first episode on this channel was on my Nezal Primal Tide deck, and I love Nezal. I still think it's an incredibly underrated commander. This is a commander that kind of inspired it all, actually. A 7/7 Elder Dinosaur for 7 mana in blue. Can't be countered. You've got no maximum hand size. Whenever opponent casts a non-creature spell, draw a card. Discard 3 cards. Exile, bring it back to the battlefield. Tap your total control to begin next end step. This is one of those cards that sees a lot more play in the 99 than as a commander, but I'm here to tell you, go play it as a commander. It is such a blast to see your opponents like shaking in their boots of a mono blue Voltron deck, basically. Yeah, you can build this in a lot of different ways. If you want to go like full control, you can, obviously. But yeah, I mean, do like a little control-y Voltron. Yeah, this is a commander that does everything for you. Again, your opponents literally can't counter it, so they can't stop that. You got no maximum hand size. This can draw you an absurd amount of cards, like Mystic Remora on the battlefield levels of cards, with your opponents not having the option not to pay. And then also, yeah, it protects itself by you drawing cards. Then you're like, okay, cool, you're going to try to get rid of it? Nah. Bounce it. It goes back at the end of the turn. And again, because it comes back at the end of the turn, all of a sudden you can avoid board wipes as well. So this is incredibly hard to deal with. Like, literally, once you get this in play, and that's the thing about, like, the high mana value commander sometimes, you're like, oh, I just spent so much mana to get it out. What if it gets taken out? No one's ever going to take out Nezal, like, ever. You're just going to keep blanking it. You're going to get more cards. You're going to be fine. Get it back. And, of course, you can take advantage of it, like leaving and coming back again and again and again. So a card like Dragon Wings, yeah, is a great card with this commander. It is an enchantment creature. An enchant creature. It's old school. Okay, it's an aura. It has flying, and it costs 2 mana. And it says, you know what, hey, whenever a creature converted mana cost 6 or more comes into play, this can go back from your graveyard to play enchanting the creature, and you can cycle it away. So this is something early on that you can just cycle it away, forget about it, draw that card. All of a sudden your commander comes into play, attaches automatically, and now makes your commander evasive, which is fantastic. Again, your commander is a 3-shot KO on anyone, and we've got ways to speed that up we'll talk about here in a little bit. But yeah, being able to just say, okay, it's touched my commander, and then, oh no, they tried to remove my commander. Blink it, and then this leaves, goes back to my graveyard, my commander comes back in play, and reattaches to this. So basically, my commander just perpetually has flying now. Of course, you can also take advantage of cards like Hedron Matrix. Yeah, this is kind of like a lesser-known, not double-strikey card, but yeah, like a fun additional Fire Shrieker for your commander in a way. +X for X is converted mana cost. Equip 4, not technically double strike still, but basically a +7/+7 turns our commander into a 2-shot KO. Or yeah, I mean obviously Fire Trigger helps as well. Or a card like Imperial Plate, which takes advantage of our commander's just natural way to draw an absurd amount of cards. Equipped creature gets +1 for each card in your hand. Yeah, again, it's going to be a ton with this commander. And of course, again, you might be worried about this commander. You're like, okay, again, 7 mana is a lot. This is one that does have an impact throughout the game, obviously, but not necessarily right away. You're not drawing a ton of cards immediately when it hits the battlefield. That being said, you're going to be drawing those cards. Players are going to be casting spells, and you're going to be drawing an absurd amount of cards, so you can go hyper focused into a lot of mana rocks, so you can get your commander out super quickly. I mean, I was getting my commander out pretty consistently, turn 4, turn 5 at the latest. I have gotten the commander out on turn 3, and again, this is all on a budget, but yeah, like Urgolem's Eye again, all those kind of lesser known mana rocks that are just like efficient. Cool, artifact for 4, tabs for 2. Yeah, that Sisei's Ring. You just toss in a lot of mana rocks that tap for a good amount of mana that are pretty efficient, essentially tapping for at least half as much as they cost. You're going to be able to get your commander out quickly, draw a ton of cards, start smacking your opponents, and making your opponents shake in their boots. When you've got a one-shot KO commander eventually that draws you an absurd amount of cards they can't deal with at all. Go check out that episode. Go pick it up, and it's a lot of fun. Next up, Kazerov Sengir Pureblood, a lesser-known vampire that, again, is just kind of off in the shadows. Kind of like the actual art of this one, but yeah, off in the shadows when it comes to its popularity because, again, 7 mana. Oh no, scary, that's a lot. 4/4 vampire with flying for 7 mana in black, but it is a Rakdos commander. Whenever a creature an opponent controls is dealt damage, put a counter on Kazerov Sengir Pureblood by paying 4 mana in red. It deals 2 damage to our creature. Now, that is an absurdly high cost for that effect, essentially, right? You're like, okay, I'm not going to gain a lot of counters doing that. It's going to take quite a while to do that. That being said, of course, there are so many easy ways to deal a ton of damage out to all creatures, or just a minimal amount of damage. It doesn't have to be a lot of damage. In fact, you're probably benefited not to deal a lot of damage to creatures, because if you can repeat that damage, then all of a sudden you're like, okay, cool, yeah, your creatures are still alive. Great. Awesome. Let's deal some more damage. Pestilence. Oh my goodness, an oldie but a goodie. Enchant for 4 mana in black. Basically, if there are no creatures in play at the end of the turn, you sacrifice it, but by paying a single black mana, it deals 1 damage to all creatures and all players. There are other versions of this as well, other effects that are similar. Yeah, but essentially you're like, okay, pay black mana. How many creatures are in play that my opponents control? Okay, cool. All right, that many counters on my commander. Again, it could be 10 plus commanders on my commander. All of a sudden, my commander goes from a 4/4 tiny little flyer, not tiny, like medium size, to the biggest creature on the board in a 2-shot KO. And if I pay 1 more mana, probably turns into a 1-shot KO on anyone. How about a card like Caltrops that just like inherently says, hey opponents, what are you gonna do? Whenever a creature attacks, Caltrops deals 1 damage to it. So again, this just sits in play and it's like, opponents, you want to attack? Cool, my commander's gonna grow in power. And of course, those little token decks out there like, I can't attack anymore because I've got a bunch of 1/1s. That's true as well. Speaking of 1/1s though, Genesis Chamber. This is the type of commander where you're actually like, you know what, opponents, I'd like you to have some creatures. Here, have some more creatures. What are you doing sitting around there without creatures? Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield, if it's untapped, that creature controller makes a 1/1 mirror. There are other ways to give your opponents creatures as well, but yeah, this is a great one. This is a commander that, again, is just an inherently large threat that your opponents will not see coming. That will not be like, oh yeah, Kazerov, yeah, that's the player we need to target when the game starts, right? No, you get this commander out, and all of a sudden you just cast like a simple, like, electrickery type card or whatever, you know, or those other cards that just cost like a single mana. It's like, ping your opponents for creatures for 1. Okay, cool. All of a sudden, this is the biggest creature on the board, and maybe even a 1-shot KO from 1 card. How many commanders out there can do that? And of course, keep in mind that you are also in red. You've got double strike effects as well, double power type effects. This is a commander that can easily take your opponents out of nowhere, and they are not going to see it coming. Let's keep things rolling, though, with Jadzi, Oracle of Arcavios. Again, 8 mana, scary, oh no! 5/5, human wizard for 8 mana in total in blue. Discard a card, bounce it back to its owner's hand. Kind of Nezal-y right there. Magecraft, though, whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a non-land card, you may cast it by paying 1 rather than paying its mana cost. If it's a land, put it onto the battlefield. Doesn't say tapped, keep that in mind. Onto the battlefield. On top of that, though, there's a backside of this card, a sorcery for 4 mana, Journey to the Oracle in green. So again, this is a Simic commander. Sorcery, it says, you may put any number of land cards in your hand on the battlefield. Then if you control 8 or more lands, you may discard a card. If you do, return Journey to the Oracle to its owner's hand. Yeah, this can be a great way to just go, okay, you know what, let's just dump a ton of lands into play early. My commander might cost a little more, but, like, I can get there quicker. Or again, if I am at 8, all of a sudden, like, okay, cool, I can get my commander out now. Great. That being said, again, the front side is what you really care about. Obviously, being able to just go, okay, so much absurd value, casting or copying, keep in mind, or copying. So, like, if you've got, oh my goodness, you know, maybe some really super spicy enchantment like Swarm, you know, Intellect. Yeah, you can just go like, yeah, you're going to be just copying everything. Copying every single thing. And again, like, if you're going to get in play, like, with this, it just costs you 1 mana to do so. And then you're like, okay, Swarm Intelligence. I think I said Swarm Intellect. Anyways, yeah, you're just like, okay, yeah, let's just pay 1 mana for all my things off the top of the library. That being said, of course, early on, if you are going to be storming off doing some crazy things, you can go play some like Sprouting Vines. Search life for a basic land, reveal it in your hand, then show up your library, and it's got Storm. So yeah, Go get all those lands that you want out of your library, get them in your hand, and then drop them into play with the backside of your commander. We also have something like Frantic Search, a great card to play earlier on. You know, again, when you're just, okay, my commander's in play, cool, all right, let's just play this. Costs, 3 mana, but you get it for free, basically, because you draw 2, discard 2, untap 3 lands, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, I pay 1 mana off of this free spell. I get to be able to do that, and if I copied it as well as something else, then I get extra value off of that, too. But of course, if I hit this off the top of the library, I'm just actually netting mana with this. So yeah, it's definitely a huge way to do that. And of course, again, Mind's Desire. And another Stormy card that's just so big, so fun. Sorcery Reaver is 6 mana in total, but again, could just be 1 off the top of the library with your commander. Shuffle your library, exile a top card of your library. Until end of your turn, you may play that card without paying its mana cost, and it's got Storm. Yeah, this is the type of commander where knowing what the top of your library is might be beneficial as well with like a Future Sight type card, which also gives you access to cast more things too, which is quite nice. But yeah, being able to go just, I don't care what's on top because I'm just going to play Mind's Desire and play all the things off the top of the library. This is the type of commander that lets you just get so much value. And again, it does have an 8 mana value, right? But there's a backside to it that gives you value as well that you can cast for a lot cheaper and can actually just explode you into an absurd amount of mana so quickly that your opponent's going to be like, oh no. Jadzi's coming out. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Please no. Jadzi's fun. Onward we go. Patron of the Orochi. Again, this is the type of card that, again, doesn't see a lot of play for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's an older card. All right. It also has Snake Offering on it, and it's 8 mana. So it is one that's like, okay, Snake Offering. Like, I don't feel like playing, Snake Tribal. I don't want to do that. It's a 7/7 spirit for 8 mana, and you don't have to play with all the snakes. That's not, there's not a requirement on this. It's not like, oh, you can only cast this if you play snakes. That's not how it works, okay? No, not at all. You can play this card anytime you can play it instant by sacrificing a snake and playing the difference. So basically, it's kind of like Emerge, but Flash kind of ish. Anyways, yeah, sure, you might have, a snake or two in the deck, Sakura Tribe Elder Steve. Sure, there you go. You got Steve in the deck. Awesome. If you really want to, you can utilize that to actually just instant speed play this and reduce the cost. Sure. You don't have to build all the snakes, though. All right? This is an absurd effect. Tap, untap all forests and all green creatures. Place ability once each turn. Again, literally, basics are amazing. I love basics. And all of a sudden, you've got a commander that's like, you know what? Just play all the basics, okay? Every single one of your lands, play basic, and all of a sudden, you get more mana on that turn. But of course, you also get to untap all the green creatures, which means you can take advantage of, oh my gosh, so many amazing things. I mean, at the very least, right? Priest of Titania, I love you. You're awesome. You're amazing. A 1/1 elf druid for 2 mana in green. Tap, pay a green for each elf on the battlefield. Now with a reprint, this is 32 cents, and it used to be a lot more expensive than that. But yeah, again, if your opponents are playing elves too, congratulations, you get even more mana. That being said, yeah, if you just go heavy on elves, which again, you're like, what about snakes? You can go snakes, sure. But if you go heavy on elves, which have a lot of tap abilities for a lot of mana, okay, cool. Play my commander. And all of a sudden, maybe I've got a Swift of Boots in play. Maybe some way to give it haste. All of a sudden, equipment for 2. Hex River and haste. Equip 1. Do I even need to read it? It's like one of those popular cards of Commander. Anyways, equip it to your commander. You can tap right away. And all of a sudden, you're like, okay, all right. Tap all my things for mana. Tap Priest Titania. Get all my mana back. And then some. And then all of a sudden, yeah, they untap. And maybe I just bounce it back to my hand with T for Sabertooth. 4/3, cat for 4 mana in green. Pay 2 essentially. You may return another creature you control back to its owner's hand. If you do, Team for Sabertooth gains indestructible on turn. There are a couple other ways to bounce creatures. Not too many in green, but still. Taking advantage of Patron of the Orochi by going okay, let's play it, let's bounce it, let's play it, let's bounce it. Yeah, you can even generate infinite green mana with this. Okay, rules lawyers out there. Not infinite, okay, not infinite, but a trillion, whatever you want. Anyways, it is a lot of fun because you can take advantage of not just mana dorks, but also other green creatures that have tap abilities too. You can take advantage of enchanting your forest in certain ways as well. It's a unique commander, and again, it scares players off because it's a high mana value commander. It's an older card, and Snake Offering, they're like, whoa, that's a lot of text right there. I don't want that. It's one of those commanders that literally would see more play if it had less text on it. If it was like, no, it doesn't have Snake Offering. You're like, oh, maybe I'll try that out. That seems quite fun. Try it out. Let's take a look at the next commander, though, with Progenis, the big bad. Actually, I don't know if Progenis is bad or not. I think it's just like the world kind of thing. I don't know. 10/10 Hydra Avatar. Is it an avatar of the world? I don't know. Someone let me know in the comments below. For 10 mana in double Wooburg. Yeah, that is something that will scare off many, many players out there. Like, oh my gosh, that mana value. I guess I should also mention on this episode that, like, there are certain commanders I'm not bringing up that are high mana value that, like, technically aren't, though. Like Reaper King, it's like, it's 10 mana, but it's not. You're paying it for 5, usually, you know. Like, I didn't include anything on this episode, like, commanders with high mana values that also have, like, cost less based on this. I didn't do that. That being said, this is such a fun commander. It is so simple, so straightforward. It is a 10/10. It's got protection from everything. That's basically it as a commander. Because if you put it in a grave from anywhere, you reveal it, shuffle the library. Cool, you don't really worry about that as this being a commander. That's not really what you're doing with it. I mean, I guess it prevents you from reanimating it. Okay, which you're probably not going to do anyways. It's commander. You're going to put it back in the command zone. So, you've got a 10/10 protection from everything, including from your things as well. Do keep that in mind, which is quite a fun build around, because it's not like, I equip a Fire Shrieker to it, or Black Wave. No, you can't do that. I equip Swift, but no, you can't. You can't target it, so you can't do that. So yeah, you have to do some workarounds, but oh my goodness. Again, having something that's in play, it's like, yeah, I'm really hard to deal with, and I'm technically a 3-shot KO in Commander, technically, but if I just get one little more power somehow, all of a sudden, I'm a 2-shot, and if I get that and maybe, oh, I don't know, double strike or like an extra attack, I'm taking anyone out. And again, you can't block me because I've got protection from everything, so literally you cannot block. There is no blocking. There is no taking me out. I am coming through. So yeah, early on, you probably want to play a little Pella-40. You want to be like, okay, you know what? I've got this big bad endgame boss in my command zone, and all of a sudden, my opponents are like, well, eventually that's going to be scary, but not right away. It costs a bunch of mana, but you're going to build up some other things and play like Propaganda. Enchant for 3 mana in blue. Creatures can't attack you unless their controller pays 2 for each creature they control that's attacking you. Basically just, hey, I'm going to sit back here. You're not going to do anything about it, and that's what's going to happen. I'm just going to sit here, okay? I'm just going to sit right here. And then you're not going to attack me. And while I'm doing that, maybe actually early on, though, I do get Leyline of Mutation. Okay, so here's where I'm cheating a little bit when I'm saying, like, the mana value. Of course, you do have access to this, Joda, Fist of Suns, which can be ways to cheat your commander in play. There's other ways as well. This is a really fun one, though, in 5 color, because it's an enchantment that costs 4. It's a Leyline, so if it's in your opening hand, you get to play for free. Good for you. You can pay Wooburg rather than pay the mana spells for spells you cast. Basically, hey, everything costs Wooburg now if you want it to, and your commander does cost double Wooburg, so you're saving half. There you go. What a discount. Of course, though, again, the tricky thing with this commander is you can't target it either. That being said, yeah, enchantments in play like Finest Hour are huge for you. Enchantment for 5 mana in Bant, it's got Exalted, so again, whenever a creature control attacks alone, that creature gets +1 until end of turn. Here's the thing. You're gonna want to attack alone with your commander. Just do that. You don't need to attack with anything else, okay, obviously. On top of that, whenever a creature control attacks alone, if it's the first combat phase of the turn, untap that creature. After this phase, initial combat phase. This is an absurd effect. This says, yeah, you know what? You're in Bant, but you get double combat? Cool! And also, by the way, your commander now is a 2-shot KO, but you get the 2 shots, so you're taking anyone out with 1 shot, and again, they cannot block. Progenis, so much fun. Take out your opponents. Do so. It is great. Do it now! And with that, this episode is coming to a close. Comment below with your thoughts on it. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.